Man, with this coronavirus thing going around, reaping with extreme prejudice those who smoke, I felt the time was now to share how I was able to quit, and it's effective if you're not a sleeper by default. There are plenty of videos online that discuss all the wretched things that smoking does to your body, like destroying the cilia and the lungs. So I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm going to address a different angle, very different. But first, really take a moment to decide if you truly want to quit. You need to quit, but you may not want to quit. But be warned, you will likely see your addiction in a whole new light after you see this. And the thing is, you may not be able to not see it like this after. There are a lot of quit smoking methods out there, so just find one that works for you because you're playing on a whole new chessboard now. Which piece would you rather fight with during this global health crisis? You need to be as close to 100% as possible. Doing so helps protect everyone. Remember how fun remote control cars were when you were a kid? Remember how fun they were when they were at half charge? Not really, right?
Not really, right?
They couldn't really make it up steep hills, pretty lame on jumps. It was frustrating, and you kicked yourself for forgetting to charge the thing the last time you played with it. You can no longer sacrifice your ability to fully charge. Again, what I'm about to relate worked for me, but my approach may not be correct for you, so check in with yourself. But if you do get an inner yes to proceed, confirmation that it's correct for you to listen to this, if it starts getting weird and you're becoming uncomfortable, deal with it, because nothing else has worked for you this far, right? Or are you already a non-smoker and just curious how this is all going to shake out? Smoking sucks. It drains your life force in exchange for a temporary stress drop created by the addiction in the first place. It lowers your constitution for handling stress, lowers your stress threshold. So any bump or spike in stress has you grabbing a grit or wishing you had one. So how do you give up this dragon? This back monkey? I'm going to tell you what worked for me. Maybe it'll save your life. Gonna warn you now, my advice is out there in a sci-fi way, so your imagination is required, and so is your bravery. You're fighting for your life, so if that's asking too much, imagine yourself 20 years from now, still smoking. How's your health? Is it better? If you think so, why are you watching this? I quit smoking when my daughter was born because I didn't want to orphan her. Yes, it was difficult, but I created powerful visualizations that strengthened my resolve so I could kick the habit. The first thing I did was make sure I'd have my last smoke when I was feeling the opposite of chill and totally stressed out of my mind. Why'd I do that? Because if you quit when you're feeling okay, as soon as you get stressed, you'll grab one. But if you quit when you're stressed again, you can draw upon that same strength you had when you were stressed before and abstain. So that's rule number one. Quit when things suck. Now, for the creative visualization part, I'm going to weave a story of what is actually happening to you and why you're smoking. And for this, you may need to suspend disbelief, but it's important that you make yourself believe this because this remedy will fail if you don't. This really shouldn't be a problem for you, though. I mean, you're suspending disbelief right now, believing smoking isn't ravaging you, depleting you of your inner resources, siphoning your life. That urge you have to smoke is not yours. That weak threshold you have for anything stressful is not yours. That willingness to trade your health for a temporary feeling of calm is not worth killing yourself for. And don't kid yourself. Your health is significantly diminished than what it would be otherwise. Let me ask you this, though. What does it mean to you, if at all, to not be in control of your urges? Just sit with that for a second. What does it mean for you to not be totally in control of your urges? Letting your mind dictate and rationalize why you can behave less than who you were designed to be. What does it feel like to be so advanced in other areas, but you just can't seem to have any ownership over this one? The frustration in having been so close so many times, but you had a weak moment or two and then grabbed for the old poison with a jokingly, oh well. Your mind recognizes your cigarettes as a companion. Just you, your mind, and your addiction sharing a few moments together. What may be under the radar is your slow, strangulation from the triangulation of your mind and nicotine on one side, and you being the obtuse one, not seeing that the game is fixed against you. When you're temporarily lifted from your daily grind, your dopamine kryptonite appreciation is genuine. You feel rescued from your day by the lung in black. So let me tell you a little story about your habit. Habit is ruthless. Habit doesn't see you quitting anytime soon. For good reasons it can generate in a jiffy. Habit sees your self-mastery and lowers you, laughing all the way. You're a black belt in other ways, there's no doubt. But why have you not risen to vanquish this opponent, this threshold guardian? I'll tell you why. It's because habit is insidious. It's subdermal, suckling on your willpower and cradled by your mind. You're enslaved within invisible walls, a boiling frog who thinks it's a bubble bath. Your future self is watching you hard right now. This memory is crystal clear, joining your collection of time-stamped memories. This is your Schrodinger's cat moment. Because is your future self smiling or crying? Thumbs upping you or shaking their head no with tears streaming? Reclaiming your life will thrust you into that entirely new level you've been chasing. How badly do you want to live a better life? Are you prepared to stoke out your future self in a way you wish your past self made better decisions? Are you ready to live life on an infinitely cleaner level? Every single thing you've experienced high mastery in will benefit by this choice. All get a +1 modifier, minimum. Roll a d6. You've got this, and only the liar inside you says otherwise. Don't let this energy vampire live off you any longer. Its planet's atmosphere is extremely polluted and clogged. It naturally wants to enjoy the comforts from home, so it makes you crave brown air. Choke its life by breathing fresh air instead. Every time you crave brown air, take deep breaths of clean air. That craving to smoke, to draw lungfuls of the stuff, it's not your craving, but you identify with it. You accept it as your own. It's not. That's the tether from you to it. That is where the severing must occur. Every single cigarette strengthens that tether back to original strength, even if you fool yourself into thinking you're cutting down. Only your willpower is getting cut down. Stop being a blood doll for that vampire living inside you. No, this is a clean sweep, or you're not getting the point. This is a thing inside you, a thought form, predator thought. Don't be an easy kill. Recognize when it's whining and dining you, reading you poetry, whispering you into sweet nothing. You may think you know yourself pretty well, but it knows you better. It has access to your subconscious, so it definitely has your number, which levers to pull, buttons to push, so that you'll see eye to eye in no time. If you think about it, it's probably been a while since you experienced yourself to as great a degree as it would be if you were not augmented by that entity. Seeing through unvarnished eyes with a sweet, clean signal. I'm going to read a quote because I think it's so poignant. A realistic assessment of yourself, of your spirit, of your mind, of your judgment, of your passion. No one can be master of himself who does not first understand himself. There are mirrors for the face, but not of the soul. So make one out of careful consideration of yourself. Sound your depths and measure your capacity for everything. If you don't think nicotine has you behaving in unnatural ways, just consider that despite your intelligence, despite how clued in you are, you're accepting a negative behavior with a bad trade-off, sacrificing your vitality, your frequency to a parasite, and then rationalizing why you should keep doing it. That type of mind leech makes the area it was feeding on feel raw after it's peeled off. It's no fluke, but you'll awaken even further when you catch yourself missing it like a friendship. Just recognizing that artificially created feeling of loss, that mourning feeling like you'll never have that sacred 5 minutes again when you got to step outside your stress and contemplate stuff. That's a fiction. Of course you will. It just won't cost you the ability to breathe well. No, now is when you turn the tide, turn the tables, take the upper hand. And when you had your last smoke, stop telling people you miss it, reminiscing about your unrequited love that couldn't be. No more lipstick on the zombie. Stop writing it love letters. Believe me, it's screwing all your friends too. It doesn't deserve your loyalty. Evict it from your heart with passion. Eject it, lock the doors behind it, and transmute its remains. Ask your highest self to protect you by always allowing you to recognize that the urge to smoke is external, not yours. My advice is to write out a sentence that powerfully resonates exactly why you wish to be free of this entity. Be sure to write with lots of power words in present tense, qualities and energies you're surrounding yourself with, and the intention of connecting to your highest self for guidance and protection in this moment in which you're feeling threatened or weak. It may be something like, I am connecting to my highest self in this moment. All falsehood is stripped away, and I can see the cords of addiction trying to hook into me as they appear. I transcend any pressure placed upon me. I choose instead to align to truth and reject falsehood showing up as desire and craving and need. I recognize all attempts to hypnotize me. I reject these attempts, and I retain my power over my decisions despite any chaos in my external environment. The feeling to smoke is nothing more than the entity's feeble attempt to hypnotize me. I stay in my power, which continues to grow, flow, refortify, and flourish. Pause the video here to write out your power statement. It can be as long as you'd like. All right, let's continue. Take some time now to read what you wrote to yourself, and then reread it. Reread it again. Then let the powerful meaning of those words be converted into energy that coalesces into a ball of energy of whatever color that ball is currently emanating. It's pulsating. It's filled with the undiluted truth of that sentence you wrote. Now, I ask you to give that ball of energy a 2-word name, starting with its color, and then the other word being a word that you will always remember that perfectly represents that sentence. Intend for this word to represent that ball of energy that's always available for you. That when you say that word, that color-word combo that you've created, it will unpack everything that you've written down. So you don't have to say it, you don't have to memorize the letter. So spend the time now to fully take into your being the contents of what you wrote down or wrote up, whichever. Feel your words fully and align the frequency of those words to your color-word combo so that when you, in your mind, call out that color-word combo, it'll immediately call in that energy to pervade within whatever unsightly energy you might be soaking in. That's always available for you. You need to only call on it with your mind. Again, you don't need to speak it out loud. You don't need to tell anybody what the word is. In fact, don't. This is yours. This is sacred. It brings you back to your center. Your uncorruptible central processing unit gives you a clear read on habit's backdoor attempts to reroute your servers so you can go back into its service. Calling on your energy ball dispels that fog. It lets you detect invisibility and stop it from rerouting back on your mainframe. That ball of energy is a light tunnel to your highest. Keep that in mind to keep your mind in check. Be willing to have a better life. More of you gets unlocked. You're granted access to a higher level of you. Okay, now for the last part. Since your mind and your habit have been strangling you and triangulating against you in your quest to be free of the addiction, weaken their grip by reclaiming ownership of your entire triangle. As you travel the tunnel, you will reclaim more and more shares of this incorporation until you have majority ownership. Your mind may keep barking and the nicotine biting, but with diminished strength and capacity. Their bark and bite simply won't be able to move you off your center like they did before. Of course, you can still surrender, but the need to feed them with your life force will become less and less of an affliction. And now that you heard this, you can't unhear it. You can't squeeze the toothpaste back in the tube. You can't unring the bell. You can't go back to pretending without knowing. It's big decision time. If you were looking for a good reason to quit, you may not find a better one. With your free will right now, decide if you want to love your future self or flip it the bird. This is your moment to eradicate this parasitic infection. You can overcome this, but your misplaced faith in the entity must be reclaimed for yourself. Seize this opportunity and ignore your mind, which will deliver so many reasons why you're not ready. Your habit has you seeing it like this, but it's this. If you're not strong enough to cold turkey it right away, ask your future self's forgiveness. And by future self, I mean near future self. 2 words. Lung capacity. What are you waiting for? Motivation? What's more powerful motivation than something that's causing you to smoke that's not you? What's more powerful than exercising this parasite? Anyway, it's just that right now, while things are so crazy topsy-turvy and so not grounded is the perfect time for you to shift your reality. This trajectory you're on with the smoking and the story that you have of why you smoke and how long you've smoked. Imagine if you had absolute amnesia right now. Your memory wiped. What would happen if you didn't even, you didn't know your name? And if you don't know your name, you probably don't know maybe that you smoke. You'll have like maybe some uncomfortable feelings for a little while, maybe a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, 21 days of discomfort. And then it just sort of goes away, but you don't know why, because you don't know who you are. So you don't know what those feelings and discomfort are relating to. You just wrote it out because you didn't know to do otherwise. I'm going to ask you to sort of supply that same mentality here and not just believe the story that you've been smoking for however long you've been smoking for. For all intents and purposes, you just came into this body. There are no hooks. Put your mind in that hookless body virtually to gather strength of what that would feel like, recognizing that you can employ that same psychology here and recalibrate. All right, well, I sincerely hope that this served you and that it allowed you to reframe what is going on inside you and that you feel a renewed urgency to vanquish this threat. This way helped me out. And I hope it does the same for you or someone you care about. Remember, there's a better reality waiting for you just up ahead. Whatever you decide, please hit like if you like the video or it's empowered you to quit permanently, immediately, stat. And please subscribe if you like this kind of thing. Here are a couple more videos I think you might enjoy. Anyway, to your health and happiness. Be well and stay safe.